guys, it's Alexis, aka The Soft Reader, and I'm here today to do another monthly recommendations video. Monthly recommendations is a Goodreads group where there's a different topic every month and then we recommend books in that topic. And it's run by Trina at Between Chapters and Kayla from Kayla Rain. But I'll leave the Goodreads group link down below in case you're interested in checking out. This month's topic is our auto-read authors. Or auto by authors. You know, a lot of people use that phrase as well. I have 7 authors here. There's a lot of authors I feel like I could have made a larger list for, but I tried to include authors that I've read an entire series from, and like as such can say that I'm like invested in their writing, rather than for me personally including authors that have only published 1 or 2 books that I've just liked, or you know, that kind of thing, or authors that I've only read 1 book from, even though, like, in the example of, like, Stephanie Perkins, Lee Bardugo, I've only read 1 book for them, but I know that I'm going to love their works when I get to the rest of them. I try to stick to authors that I've read at least an entire series from, that I've completed an entire series from, and, like, as such, I know I'm going to pick up anything else they put out in the future. Also, if you've been on my channel for any length of time, none of these are going to surprise you. They're all authors I talk about quite frequently as being a huge fan of. So yeah, so honestly this is probably going to be super redundant for a lot of you, but whatever, we'll just get into it. The first author I'm going to mention is, of course, Victoria Schwab, or V.E. Schwab. I've actually only read 5 of Victoria's 13 novels, but I do own at least 4 other ones that I intend to read, and pretty much without any hesitation I will read anything Victoria Schwab writes in the future, because this particular series, the Shades of Magic series, is one of my all-time favorites, and I just think that she's really talented. And I think that she has such an amazing mind, and her creativity is so out there, and she's so good at small details and creating characters and stories. And yeah, I mean, like, I only started reading Victoria Schwab last year, and I've already decided that she's one of my favorite authors, and I will just support her until she decides to stop writing. But yeah, Victoria Schwab, hands down, is probably one of those authors that, like, I don't even have to hear what her book's about. I just have to see her name on the cover and I'm gonna buy it. The next author I'm gonna mention is, weirdly enough, the only male writer on this list, and that is Patrick Ness. I've only read 5 of Patrick Ness's books. I think he has maybe 8 or 9 out, but I do own the rest of his books, and I do fully intend to read the rest of his books. And I intend to pretty much read anything Patrick Ness comes out with in the future. Patrick Ness's books are just so special to me. I don't ever feel like I walk away from a Patrick Ness book without feeling like a different person. I feel like every single one of his books is like a religious experience, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. I just mean that, like, I always just discover something magical in his books. Especially in a lot of the commentary he has to say about, you know, everything basically. People and their behavior and their love and everything like that. It's just, I think he's so talented in that way that he can just write characters that are so realistic, and they so perfectly portray, like, the human struggle and grief and love and insecurity and all of these things. I mean, he's just so good at making characters that just portray all of that. I just think Patrick Ness is such a special writer, and for as long as he's writing, I will continue to support him as a person and as a writer, and yes, just, I think he's so talented. The next author I'm going to mention is Richelle Mead, who is the author of the Vampire Academy series. So I currently own 13 Richelle Mead books, and that is not even a portion of the actual books that she has written, but I'm so nostalgic for Richelle Mead because of how much I adore the Vampire Academy series and how much the series meant to me when I was in high school, and the friendships I've made through the series, that I will pretty much buy and give any Richelle Mead book a shot, which is why half of the Richelle Mead books I own I haven't even read, but a lot of them are newer books that I've purchased because I just want to support her, and it's just, like I said, it's a nostalgic factor for me. You know, I wouldn't even consider Richelle Mead one of my favorite writers anymore necessarily, but I am really sentimental to her as a writer and sentimental to the series, and so for that reason, like I said, I will buy every Richelle Mead book. And yeah, I mean, like, I own a lot of her newer releases, which, you know, have gotten mixed reviews. I haven't even read any of them, but I will buy them because I want to keep my nostalgia for her alive. The next author I'm going to mention is Marissa Meyer. Marissa Meyer is a similar case. I've actually only read the Lunar Chronicles from her, the 4 books in the Lunar Chronicles, but I'm interested in checking out every new idea she has, especially because I think a lot of her ideas are very different from one another, and so I like seeing authors tackle different things. I think Marissa Meyer is really good at creating characters that you just fall in love with. They're characters that feel like best friends almost immediately. You know, I found that to be true with every new character in the Lunar Chronicles. I mean, you literally wanted to be friends with them. You were like, I want to be part of the squad. And, you know, I'm really excited for her new book that comes out in November. I'll be buying it. Pretty much I was decided I was going to buy it the minute I saw her name was on the cover. And yeah, Marissa Meyer is probably one of those authors that, like, again, I don't necessarily consider her to be one of my favorite authors, but as much as I love the Lunar Chronicles, I'm willing to give any other book she writes a shot, and for that reason have decided to include her on this list. The next author I'm going to mention is Kendar Blake. I actually have only read 2 Kendar Blake books, this one and then Anna Dressed in Blood, but I'm including her on this list despite not having actually finished a series by her because I don't intend to finish the Anna Dressed in Blood series. I really enjoyed the first book. I gave it 4 stars, but I liked the way it wrapped up, and so I don't feel the need to continue on with the series. But consistently, I've enjoyed Kendar Blake's books, both of them, and I've found her writing very engaging, and I find her books this mix between creepy and magical that I really like. It really, really fits my tastes, and so I've enjoyed that, and so I've pretty much gone and bought every single backlisted book Kendar Blake has written. They all are on my shelves and I intend to read them eventually, and I'm absolute trash for this particular series, and I'm so excited for the second book to come out, and any new idea Kendar Blake comes out with, I know I'm going to be interested in. I know I want to read it, and for that reason she's on this list, because literally all it took was me reading 1 book from her and knowing, like, yes, I want everything you've ever done. Give it to me. The next author I'm going to mention is Lauren Oliver. Lauren Oliver is one of those authors where I don't think a single one of her books is my favorite. Like, I liked the Delirium trilogy, it's not my favorite. I didn't even really like Before I Fall that much, but it's like, I read all of her books anyway, and like, I don't know why that makes sense. Because it's like, you know, it's like, again, I wouldn't consider her a favorite author, and I wouldn't consider her books to be favorites of mine by any stretch of the imagination, but I still buy all of them, and I still try to read all of them, and so, like, I don't know, it's almost like I'm just weirdly loyal to Lauren Oliver. Like, even if I don't love her books, like, I'm loyal to her, if that makes sense. I don't know. I own every single Lauren Oliver book, and I don't think I've given any of them, like, higher than a 4 stars. But I own every single one of them. And so I might as well just keep going at this point. The final author I'm going to mention is Marie Lu. Marie Lu is very much a recent addition to my auto reads list. I actually started the Legend trilogy last year and finally completed it in the month of July, fell in love with it, and I just think she's so talented. I think that she's just, across the board, just such a top-notch author. The story, the characters, the world. She puts so much effort and authenticity into everything she does in her books, and I think that so easily comes across. I think you can read a Marie Lu book and you can go, yes, I feel the toil you've put into this book, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into this book. And that's how I felt pretty much consistently about the entire Legend trilogy. And so I'm 100% going to pick up the Young Elites and finish that trilogy, and I'm so excited for her new release that comes out in September, which is Warcross. I think she has so much talent, and I just don't see Marie Lu like stopping. You know, I just see herself pushing herself to new limits, and you know, this series is so much different from her Legend trilogy, and those two combined are going to be so much different from what I've heard of Warcross. And so it's like she's so versatile, she can write so many things, and that's so entertaining to me. I like to see her tackle something different every time she goes for it. And so yeah, so I definitely have just completely fallen in love with Marie Lu's work recently, and I'm gonna read everything she's ever written, and I'm gonna continue to read everything she ever writes in the future. Alright guys, so those were my read auto by authors. Again, I know the prompt kind of said it was a chance for you to discuss your favorite authors, and I know I've said that these authors aren't necessarily my favorites, these are just ones for whatever reason I consistently buy from across the board. But I would love to hear your answers, so what are some auto read or auto buy authors for you, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.